Because you say he does it every time, right?
Yes.
So let's see if he does it with me. Hello everybody and welcome back to the coolest dog training channel right here on YouTube. I'm Tom Davis, America's Canine Educator. Today this is going to be episode number 3 of a series we did with a German Shepherd down in Miami, Florida. If you haven't yet watched episode number 2, just click the link above. Today we're going to go outside and start working on the dog reactivity portion of the entire series. We worked really hard on this and we hope you love it. We're just going to do some studying on your relationship on the leash outside. Yeah, what kind of snakes are around here? Just everything? Yeah, I hear it. So this is a house that Axel supposedly reacts to every single time. Because you say he does it every time, right?
Yes.
So let's see if he does it with me. Past this little thing here, or?
Yeah.
Foos. Good foos. Ah, good foos. So again, we're just taking the entire situation like an investigation, like I like to do. The dogs are barking now and no reaction. So we're just trying to figure out why he reacts and when. And with me, this is a variable that he always reacts with his owners. Again, it's not a bad thing or a negative thing, but it is such a difference when he's, oh, there's lizards everywhere. This is so cool for me. Sit. Good. So just taking him into an environment that he always reacts and then him not reacting tells us that it's very situational with who he's with, which is good because we're starting to figure out the problem before. And again, he's worked with other trainers and things like that, but I want to work more with the owners and try to figure out what's going on with them and their relationship versus him on training, because his training's great, his heel's good, everything looks good. It's the relationship between him and his owners that's the real issue. So we're gonna crack down on that later this afternoon. Every time, huh? Like I said, he's more secure with you guys outside than he is inside. So inside he definitely feels more vulnerable, because him coming up to me and sniffing me with you wouldn't happen inside, or it hasn't yet. So that's good. That's a good sign. And then again, like looking at these variables of like, okay, he didn't do anything what he normally does with Tom in those situations, which is, it's all good stuff, because I just like seeing things that are really black and white, where you're like, yep, he never would have done that. So anyway, I say we give him a break. He's worked really hard. And then we'll meet back up later this evening and we'll pick up where we left off. We'll do a little bit of work outside and then we'll come outside and do a little bit more obedience. Yeah. Yeah.
He would have reacted to that.
Normally. Yeah. Yeah, so he's becoming more confident. This is good. These are good things. And that's why, like, so he would react to the bike. Good boy. Looked up, looked down. It's good. So when we get into a situation where you guys are like, he's definitely going to react here, we're downtown and he doesn't, if I can like get that to you somehow and transfer that energy to you and that control, we're going to be golden. It's a hard door. You could just then reinforce that.
Good boy, Axel.
Good. And you would even take it a step further and really target, instead of good boy, good, what's your lie? Tell him whatever command, whatever behavior he's doing, reinforce it with good. Okay. And then you insert that, because if you say good boy, it's good, but it's not as good as you targeting like, what am I doing good, okay, right? Have you practiced the send away, or have you just been walking him up every time? To go to his mark?
Both, a mix.
Okay, so how far can you normally get to send him away? Consecutively?
Usually, like for example, when we're outside,
yeah,
he's always loose and go.
He'll go. Okay, so then do that a couple times in here, maybe from the table distance of sending him to his mark.
Like where I am now?
Or you come out here and send him this way.
Come on.
Good. reward him. No, you don't have to go there. Just
Good work.
good. Because he's just such a sensitive dog, you know? And I think the more positive reinforcement you give him, the more he'll be. Because you got to think of it as like the style that you've been training has been very, yeah, to say the least, or competitive. Where he's not a competitive. He doesn't have the nerves or balance for that. He's like, you know, and it's just like kids. You may get one that you can yell at, and they take that constructive criticism. You may get the other one that cries for 3 days. He's that dog, and he's not going to do that great with that. So you have to look at him and go, hey, go do this, okay? Good that. Oh, okay, cool. That was okay. It wasn't so bad. So make training a little bit more desirable for him, because he's not a high drive dog. You already told me, like, he's not that prey driven, or he's not that food driven at all.
Right, and part of it being like start training.
Got it. It's like parenting. You can't transfer them.
Different mentality.
Yeah. Like if you had like my Dutchie or any of the Malinois that I work with, like if I have a tug or a ball and I say, go to your mark, and they run over there and they're like waiting, and that's like an engaging training session where they're just like, I got it. Like I'm boom. But with him, he's more like, okay. Yeah. And then when he gets there and he does it and you just look at him, he's like, just.
Can I try to implement like a toy?
You can. Sure, and I can show you how to do that in the future. But for right now, like give him that positive reinforcement, so at least he's working for something. And what I'm doing is I'm using so before you use the e-collar basically as just an aversive. And like I said before, I like to use e-collars full spectrum. I don't like using them just for aversive corrections. I can use that correction format in the future if I need it, which is wonderful and life-saving and life-changing. But in the preliminary stages, I can also use it as a pressure system. So when you told him to go to his mark, I did the continuous, and it continually went to him until he got there. And when he got there, the pressure shut off. Okay? So continuous, mark. When he gets there, yes. So you're giving him a verbal pressure system, which you tell him, go do it. And then when he gets there, the pressure goes, because you go, yes, right? But I also layered in e-collar pressure, because you can't give him physical pressure when he's off leash. So I applied physical pressure here, where the e-collar came on a 3 or a 4, which you guys know, you could put a 3 or a 4 to your face, won't feel it, so it's not corrective, it's not aversive, it doesn't hurt him, it doesn't shock him. Pressure, he gets there, you go, yes, good mark, and it shuts off. So he's getting rewarded through what we call escape training. So escape training is exactly how it sounds. The dog does something that you want, the behavior that you want, and then the pressure shuts off. Escape training on a lower end format would be Fido sit, they sit, yes, good sit. So you put pressure on with the verbal, do this, they do it, pss, pressure goes away. I just did it wirelessly, right? So the functionality to the wireless, I guess program would be as if he tried to get off and you put pressure on him again, and he went, zoop. He feels that pressure from a distance. So yes, you can add pressure to a dog without an e-collar, but it's only physical, or it's only verbal. And sometimes verbal, please don't, doesn't actually get the job done. So I just add an alternative, which is remote pressure, which is not aversive. So that's what I mean by full spectrum. I'm not just using the collar for wham, because with him, he's very sensitive. I wouldn't do that with him unless I needed to. I would use the collar more full spectrum. Does that make sense? So you can stay low and do it very, very, very communicative. Does that make sense? Okay, so in the future, it's on a 4 or 5. So if you go to your mark, it would be mark. As soon as he got there, yes. So it would also encourage the dog to do the behavior faster. Because if you don't add that pressure physically or remotely, it's not gonna be detrimental. However, it may be do, 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 do. But if you go mark, and then the pressure's on, and then the ground is lava. As soon as you get on top of it, shuts off. You could turn it up to a point of discomfort if you would like to, if the UPS guy came. Go to your mark. He's probably not going to go to his mark because the currency of the UPS guy is much larger. So you're gonna have to go up in discipline, just like with kids, right? When they're giving away free iPhones, you're like, I'm gonna take yours away. do it, I don't care. Of course, right? Or you're grounded for 3 weeks, no iPhone at all, then. So you have to understand currency balances. Does that make sense? Okay.
It's like, now you confuse me.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, so you can use the collar to reward,
Mm-hmm.
but then what's the difference between using the collar to say, press it until he does a command?
Nothing. Because when you press it to do the command, so when I say you can use the collar to reward, it's not necessarily adding a reward to the system. It's just touching him. So like, okay, if he was here, and I said, okay, break, and I slapped his side or I slapped his butt to, we're done. It's the same thing you would do on a low level with the collar. So it's like when certain people, so when I worked recently with some bird dog people, and they would touch the dog's head to disengage the dog to say, see ya, break, bye. So the physical pop would tell the dog that they can disengage. So when he's in a place command, you can just tap the remote and go, break. And it just adds that like really explosive, yeah, good. So they feel it, they hear it. It just adds more to the mix. And I like using the e-collar in that way because it really helps mend your communication skills. So what I would do is I'd get him up and I'd say, hey, come on, buddy. And then I'd get him, yep, and now send him. And you don't need your, yep. And then right when he gets up there,
Good mark.
good. And then you release the pressure. That's perfect. So you get all this like euphoric things going off in the brain for the dog, and you'll get more comfortable with it as you go. But of course, when you're trying to figure out how to do it over or do it in general. So what I would do is like, I'd get him up and I'd say, okay, Mark. And he goes over there, I go, yes, good, Mark. And I would be a little bit more enthusiastic with it, especially with him. Because again, if he was a very drivey dog, like your other one there, that is like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? And you'd say, sit, boom, down, boom,
Yeah.
heel, boom, right? Then you could just robotically, but with him, he's like, okay. So you have to like, yeah, buddy, this is fun. And of course, if you were working with him before with the e-collar as strictly an aversive, this is a new process for him because he's like, I don't know about this. So we're doing it a little bit differently to make it more positive experience for him too. So you have to add in that sugar. Just ask him again.
Mark. Mark. Come on, so. Good mark.
Good. Perfect. It's good. So if you practice that over and over and over again and he's 100% on it, no matter what's going on, you're going to have 100% better opportunity of what you were doing before. Where before it was kind of like, hey, he's barking, what do we do? What do we tell him? Where do we put him? Mark, Platz, you can tell him to stay. And then, but making sure that you're doing what I call guest management.
Like this for me is, okay, easier than going outside and walking by the house and he's super reactive because then we don't know how to control him.
I got him. It's all right.